to Call Me Didi, everyone. I'm your host Diva.
And I'm your host Sanchi, and let's get into today's episode. Before we start our episode, of course, we have to do our highlight of the week.
Why don't you go first today?
Okay. I'll go. So my highlight is that my launch is 12 days away, and I finally got message from my supplier that my shipment is ready to be shipped from India, and I got my business registered in India, so I got my GST registered. My website is about to be live soon, and just all these things are actually coming to life now, which is such a exciting feeling in my heart. So I don't have a specific highlight, but just the whole week has been the highlight.
Yeah. You're nearly there.
I'm nearly there.
Yeah. So good.
I also got my business card with my business name on it, like you are a sunflower, and I was screaming.
Crazy.
Yes.
Honestly, that business card feeling is really special.
I know, right?
I remember feeling it and I was like, oh, everything is fine. This, to be have it physical and then you got the name on it, it feels really good. I agree.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that. You tell me.
My highlight, it's just, I booked my solo trip, my next solo trip. And I can't believe I have become this person, but I have just found a way to book a solo trip, and then I booked it, and I genuinely, I'm like, who is she? But yeah, doing that, and I'm so excited now. I'm just looking forward to it.
I love it. And before recording this episode, we were talking about her solo trip, and I was telling her what she could do and stuff. And that made me in the travel vibe, and I forgot that we have an event today, and I also dressed like a beach girl because I was like, I want to be in that travel vibe zone, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm very happy for you. I will travel through you.
Yeah. But I think that, so I'll just tell people, what the hell. So I'm going somewhere. I won't announce where I'm going, but I was going to go to India at the end of the year, which I still am. And the tickets to India was working out really expensive. So Sanchi was like, why don't you do it through? You stop at a place and then you check tickets. You take one-way flight to the place and then you take another flight. And I was like, good idea. Let me check. And it's genuinely saving me $700 to $800 just doing that.
And you can use that money to travel.
And I get to stay in a country and I get to travel, and I'll probably still be able to do the country less than the $700. I'll save money overall. So
yeah,
I think it's a good decision. Anyways, it's a good hack, guys. Check, just look at one-way flights, stop over in a city and then fly to your destination. It's really I don't know why I never thought about that before, but it's cool. Anyway, let's get into today's episode.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about how to manage your time when you have a side hustle.
I love that because we have a side hustle, and which is this. And it's just, we have learned a lot this year, so we're excited to share that with everyone.
Yes.
Okay, Diva. I know that having a side hustle requires a certain type of mindset. And I know you have had a big mindset shift this year for it. So do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Of course. So we've been working on this podcast, and I've really learned that, to get something, there's always a cost at the end of it. There's some sort of a sacrifice that you have to make, and very often it's with time. You have to sacrifice time in order to work on your hustle, but that time comes from somewhere, right? That could be either your socializing, which is what we do. So we record this podcast every Saturday. If we're not recording, we're working on our socials, we're working on strategy, we're working on something, but it's a full day's work that we do on Saturdays, and that means saying no to any social events during that time. It doesn't matter who's reached out. It doesn't matter. Sometimes if it's really important, we'll make time for it. But usually it's okay, Saturday is work time, and that comes with the sacrifice of other things. But if there's any side hustle that I've done in the past, there's sacrifice of maybe Netflix time. There's sometimes people have to sacrifice sleep to fit a side hustle, and sometimes it's there is some sacrifice that does have to happen, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, you've got 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
So you can't live the life that you were living before having a side hustle and expect to do a side hustle in those 24 hours.
Yeah, that's right. It's like sacrificing your current life to achieve the life of your dreams in future. So it's like delayed gratification if you think of it like that.
Yeah.
So it's like at this time, I will prioritize my time and I will sacrifice a few things currently so that in the future I can have the freedom of time, I can have the freedom of place. And it's like that you'll be able to live that dream life if you make time for your side hustle currently.
Yeah, it's like you have to be you have to adopt that in your mind, that like whenever you're like shit, like, oh, I have to do this, but there's going to be something that comes at the end of it. Like, you won't see the benefit right now, you won't feel that gratification immediately, but in the future you will. So you have to do the work now, and you have to really, like, it's genuinely something you have to just put in your brain, be like, okay, like, this is how I have to do it, and this is what I get out of it.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation when we were deciding to start the podcast, and we talked about we might not see the results instantly, like, because getting viewers to listen to your podcast and all that takes a really long time, and we just have to be consistent with it, because we know in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years time we'll grow, because we are filling a gap in the market with like bringing the immigrant perspective and being women in another country, living a life and talking about struggles in our 20s. So it's like relatable to so many people. So that takes time, like, to build the audience, and we had it in our mind that we will give ourselves at least a year or two, and it's okay if we don't see results instantly. And we've been very lucky to like get results on our Instagram and go viral on a few of our reels, but like, if it wasn't there, we would still be doing the podcast. I think it's just that delayed gratification mindset.
Yeah, it's like, I agree. It's like we've told ourselves that this is something that happens no matter what. So we just gotta show up to do it.
Yeah.
And it does help to have an accountability buddy. Like, because we've got each other, where if one person is down, the other person lifts the other person up. If one person is like, oh, I kind of want to do this, then you're like, no, bro, like, Saturdays we've got to work. Like, let's figure out how to... And often a lot of our social plans happen together. So we push each other in certain directions. And sometimes with personal life events, we make time for it as well. But that's because we've got each other and we're able to talk it through and be like, what is important in this moment?
Yeah.
My tummy is grumbling because I'm hungry.
I think the fact that we have it in our Instagram bio, like episodes coming out every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Adelaide time, that is just such a big motivator as well. Like, it's out there in the world. We've put it out on our Instagram. People know that we put out episodes every Tuesday. People are waiting for it to come out. So that is also like public accountability
is huge. That's worked for you as well, right? With the launch of your business, because you announced like 6 months back that the business is launching on 31st October. So like, you sort of just have to do it at that point when you made so many videos on it as well.
It's like people who don't even know me, they come to me and they're like, so how's your prep going for 31st? And I'm like,
really?
Oh,
that's happened?
It has happened multiple times. And sometimes when some other people who don't know about this, they'll come to me and they'll be like, why do you have to launch on the 31st? I'll be like, because every fucking person on my Instagram knows about it. So I have to.
But Sanchi chose such a random day for this podcast launch, because the other day I was like, because it's one day before Diwali, and I was like, why? It's a Thursday, it's not even a weekend, she's working on the Thursday. I was like, why did you choose this day? Like, why?
Because I don't know, I just went on a walk and I was like, well, I should decide on a day to launch, and I just thought like, why not do it 31st of October? And I just decided.
Didn't check the calendar, didn't do 31st October it is. Halloween day.
Didn't know. Later I realized.
Kind of works out well. You can like leverage it to your advantage and stuff, so that's good.
Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, I think so. Basically, what has worked for us is like public accountability and having an accountability buddy. So, two different types of accountabilities.
And setting time in our calendars for it, and just being like, this is when we work on it. And it really helps putting Saturdays away, because then Sundays we've got it for ourselves, and then just knowing that it's like, okay, no matter what, we're working on a podcast on that day. It really helps.
Yeah.
And very often we do weekday meetings, and sometimes we have to talk to each other, but we have very different schedules, and very often we don't even see each other during week. Like, we'll see each other, but we don't even have a full conversation.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to just set time in our calendars to work on something during the weekday, and it helps because we make time for it then, because it's like, okay, this time is blocked out.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times what we'll do is like we'll go on a walk together and we'll talk about stuff at that time, which
Yeah.
really helps, because
Which
it's
helps.
like habit stacking. You're walking, you're doing your steps, and you're also talking about podcasts.
It works well.
That's actually one of my points as well, because other than the podcast, I'm launching a business as well. So it's like with a full-time job, I have two side hustles. So that takes next level productivity. And to get to that, like habit stacking helps me so much, because I've set a schedule now, and it's like I go for a walk in the morning, but I record video for my reel at the same time. Then while I'm going to work, I take a public transportation. So while I'm traveling, I edit my video at that time. And while I'm doing meal preps on Sundays, I'll talk to my mom for like a long 1 hour, 2 hours. So then during the week, even if I have a 15-minute conversation, it's fine. When I'm traveling back from work, I'll either read a book or I'll talk to my mom again on call. So it's like habit stacking, things like that, doing multiple things that don't require too much of your brain power at the same time really helps me get things done, and like it's like you're being productive at that time.
Yeah, I
You know?
agree. Just doing, yeah.
Yeah, but I think this takes a lot of trying and testing. Like at the start of the year, I decided that like my first 3 months, I'm gonna learn how to plan properly. And that was like my theme of the year as well, because I was never a planner. So I always was like, I don't know how to manage things. Like I was all over the place. But then I learned how to do calendar properly and stick to that time, and like if this is the time for this, I'll do this only.
You were mentioning that you also, like, your phone time would average out to a lot. So you learn, like, I see you put your phone away when you're working,
Yeah.
just so you don't get distracted. So you actually use your time more efficiently,
Yeah.
which is so good. So I think at the end of the day, it's like, how can you make the most out of the time you have
Yeah.
to be able to do as many things as you need to do in that time?
Yeah, I agree. Like my phone screen time was 5.5 hours. Now I brought it down to 3 hours, which I think
It's
is
huge.
And given that like I create content, so for that you have to be on social media a lot as well, for inspiration and stuff. But I think getting this 1 second app has also helped me a lot. It shows you, it comes up on your screen and it shows you how many times you have opened Instagram in the past 24 hours and when was the last time you opened Instagram. So whenever I open it and it's like only half an hour before, then I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't open it. And I'm like, I don't want to open Instagram. And sometimes when it's like 2 hours, 3 hours, then I'm like, damn, that's really good. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
So that really helps you improve your productivity as well, because it's like you're consciously figuring out what wastes your time, and then you're consciously trying to reduce that time wastage, and then you create more time for other stuff.
Yeah.
So that really helps.
Yeah, fair. But I think with side hustles, depends on what sort of side hustle you're trying to do. Often there's a lot of work involved. Like, for example, for your business, you launching a website. Now, a website depends on how much time you have. If you have a lot of time on your hands, you can create it on your own. But if you're short on time and you're trying to do 10 things, then things like, you've outsourced the website production.
Yeah.
We're thinking of outsourcing a few things for our podcast. Just because at the end of the day, there's limited time, right? So how do you achieve everything you want to achieve in that time?
Yeah.
So, and that's helped you, right? With
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because I first thought that I would do my website on my own, but then I was like, I don't think I'll be able to fit it in. Like, it will require a lot of my time and
Yeah.
energy. So I was like, maybe I'll get someone in India to do it for me so that it's financially making sense for my business at this stage, because I'm not earning anything at this stage. So I was like, it'll make financial sense for me. I can get an expert to do it for me, and like I will only have to manage them, and so it's putting in less time compared to if I was doing it on my own. So yeah, getting help is so important. Like if you have a lot on your plate, then it's okay to get help as well. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I think we've given, hopefully, our viewers some good points to take away from this episode. We hope that helped you. If anything did in particular, please put in the comment section and share this video with somebody who you think it will help, or somebody who's really overwhelmed with all the things that they're doing.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.